You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. Wednesday is the beginning of the early signing period. Shea Dixon, our guy from On3, the Bengal Tiger, good enough to join us to preview all of the festivities. Shea, we appreciate you, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Matt? Thanks for having me.
Of course, we appreciate you as always. 27 commits for LSU, 3 players in the portal, 3 portal commits. Are we expecting that all 30 of those players will officially become LSU Tigers on Wednesday?
Yes. So obviously portal guys are able to, they don't sign scholarship papers again. I guess it's a grant date or, whatever sort of letter that ties them in with the school for them to be able to transfer in. And this allows the school to announce it. So yes, the 3 portal guys, I presume, to all be announced tomorrow by the school at the same time as the high school guys, because just from speaking with sources and the kids, all of them have inked those, different papers that they have to sign that aren't like you do coming out of high school with, high school scholarship papers. But they've done the necessary stuff to say, hey, we're in, we're official, we've gone through compliance, all that kind of stuff. And, yes, then 27 total, 26 high school kids, 1 JUCO, but that is the window starting on Wednesday, running until Friday, a 3-day early signing period. And Matt, if you've got a table there, knock on it. It appears we are in for a drama-free signing day for LSU, which is, boy, for me, I'll take it. But I think for the LSU staff and fans, you'll take it as well. All 27 of the guys have had told us and have tweeted or in whatever way confirmed that they are indeed signing with LSU tomorrow. And I think it's backed up by, look, we're in the dead period now, but kids make all their visits after their seasons end, and so-and-so popped up on this campus or this campus. LSU's 27 commits visited nowhere else but LSU over the past few weeks. So these guys appear to be locked in and ready to go.
Is there anyone, if you had to name like a player that you would sweat, is there anyone at all?
I don't think there is. I mean, I couldn't name one right now, but, you got to think of it this way, too. One of the big things is that I look at this class, and Matt, 27 of them, 23 of the 27 are from Louisiana and East Texas. And of, I think, 19 or 17 to 19, something like that, 17 are from Louisiana, 6 from Texas to give you 23 of 27. That's well over 80% of your class. But then 2 of the Texas guys are Louisiana natives who are just playing high school football in Texas right now. So they've got a really good base where you recruited 2 per capita blue chip ratio states that are up there at the top, Louisiana and Texas, but also gives you that feeling of, hey, we know these guys, we're involved. This isn't a kid that's up in somewhere on the East Coast that we really don't know what all is going on here at the very end in terms of what teams could have had in-home visits that we didn't know about or stuff like that.
Shea, how did they, I mean, you're surprised by it. I think we're all surprised. If you follow recruiting, it's just seldom that you ever have a year like this where there's just, like you said, knock on wood, no drama. How did this staff assemble a class that is so committed and where they're not even taking any visits by this point?
I think that they just got into a point. Brian Kelly, he can't talk on it until they're all signed, but he made the point yesterday when we went out and talked to him at a charity event they had out at with the Boys and Girls Club at Walmart. He talked afterwards, and it was just asked, hey, look, all of your commitments are expected to sign. That's kind of a rarity sometimes. And he said, look, we've laid out a plan of don't commit. And look, we want you to commit, but don't commit until you really understand what you're buying into here, which is the direction they're going, what the plan is for each player, the trajectory, obviously, of the program, getting a chance to maybe have back-to-back 10-win seasons in Brian Kelly's first 2 years here. And then they saw the success of the offense, the Heisman, the number 1 rankings every week. And while they finished 9-3, a lot of kids still see that on offense. They'd love to be a part of it. on defense, Matt, you see it and say, I might be playing early. This is, they need me. So I think it was just one of those things where they recruited, again, geographically well enough to where even, 23 of 27, I said, of the 4 kids not from Louisiana and East Texas, one's from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. One's from, Colin Hurley is from Florida and has been locked in as your quarterback. C.J. Jackson is the guy you flipped out of the Atlanta area in Georgia, which LSU's active in, and so is everybody else. Nobody holds down Atlanta. And then the only other guy is Ethan Callaway, a top 100 offensive tackle out of North Carolina, who they were his very first offer way before he blew up. So he said, hey, look, they were riding with me from the start. I fell in love with the staff. I love Brad Davis, and I'm in. So I think it's just kind of a combination of a little bit of everything to where you look up at the end and you say, okay, cross your fingers here as a staff, but it looks like we're going to go in and be able to ink everybody and move forward with the portal.
He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon, on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Okay, so they're solid with their 27 commits, all expected to sign. Are there any flip targets that we should keep an eye on over this signing period?
What's wild is the past 5 or the most recent 5 commitments into LSU's class were all flips. They flipped, starting in October, a 5-star offensive tackle in Weston Davis, and then they needed corners, and they flipped 2 of them, one from Ole Miss and Bernard Causey, who's out of New Orleans, another from Mississippi State and P.J. Woodland, who is from Hattiesburg, won a state title with Oak Grove just a couple of weeks ago. And then into December, there was a flip, and maybe the biggest one, really, and Weston Davis, a 5-star, is pretty big, getting him from A&M, but they flipped from A&M Gabe Relaford up at Evangel, who has been their best player for 2 years in a row, makes the case for the best defensive player in Louisiana up there. We have him in the top 5 players in Louisiana, a top 100 player nationally, a top 10 D lineman. So a Louisiana D lineman, highly ranked, committed to someone that is in your conference. These were things that you loved, and then all of a sudden you soured on when you heard that he was committed to the Aggies. The fact that they flipped him was really big news, and I think maybe I only listed 4, but there was a 5th in there that they also flipped. Oh, C.J. Jackson, a top 100 edge rusher out of the Atlanta area who was committed to Georgia Tech, but he was going to end up going somewhere bigger than that, and he ended up visiting LSU first after scheduling a bunch of visits and then immediately shut it down and said, all right, I'm in, which kind of made up for that early chase for Colin Simmons. You get another top 100 type guy in Jackson. So I like this class. I think they filled a lot of good needs here.
A couple more for you, Shea. Let's talk about 2 players as we kind of look ahead then. One is Dominic McKinley, who is not going to sign tomorrow. He's going to sign in February, and LSU has locked him in for an official visit here in a couple of weeks in January. How is that trending? Give us a sense of what's going on with Dominic McKinley.
Yeah, and you add Terry Bussey in there, the Texas A&M commitment, who is also a 5-star and is not going to sign this week. He's told us that he's going to wait until February as well. So you see a bit of an A&M trend here, right? That they've got a new staff. It's still being put together. A lot of these guys are feeling out what the staff looks like while being recruited by other schools who are also having staff changes or rumored to have staff changes. So when you're not an early enrollee and you're in a position like a Dom McKinley and a Terry Bussey, you can wait. And I realize now I'm going to answer the question you had previously asked me about flip targets. I just gave you everyone they had flipped very recently instead of telling you maybe what could happen. And those are kind of the last 2 out there that are committed to another school that LSU's still in on. So we'll see if they can flip them, but it won't come until February's National Signing Day. And Don McKinley's already going to give LSU an official visit in January. His mom confirmed that. Terry Bussey's already been to LSU on an official, but he confirmed that he'll come back for another visit. So those 2 guys are the ones we're watching. And I'll give you one more real quick tomorrow, Matt, or at least this week. Cohen Eccles is a kid who was committed to A&M on the O-line, a 4-star offensive lineman out of Katy. He dropped that commitment, visited LSU and Auburn, LSU most recently, Auburn before that. Auburn holds the lead on the on-3 RPM, but there's starting to be some buzz that, hey, if LSU gives the green light here to take 6 high school O-linemen, that he might be pretty interested. So if there was any sort of surprise on signing day, it would be adding a guy like that who is uncommitted, but at least kind of here late and looking at LSU. And moving away from A&M.
Okay, one we'll keep an eye on. Hey, let me ask you about Harlem Barry as well. We were expecting that commitment to come on Monday. He moved it back. This is the 2025 number one running back in the country out of the New Orleans area who moved his commitment back. He'll make the announcement at the Under Armour All-American game now. Anything to be concerned about from the LSU perspective with him pushing that announcement back?
No cause for concern. And the skinny here is, look, he's a 5-star number one running back coming out of New Orleans, and you got Frank Wilson as his main recruiter. I think if you peel back the layers of what's happening here, you read a little bit deeper into it and see Harlem will be the first underclassman. Again, he's a junior, so to ever announce at the All-American Bowl game.
Oh, wow.
And it will be 10 years to the date that a Mr. Leonard Fournette took the stage and announced his commitment to LSU at the exact same game, coming out of New Orleans as a 5-star, number one overall prospect, being recruited by Frank Wilson. So I think it's just setting itself up to be, hey, look, a decade later, we could be sitting here doing the exact same thing that LSU was doing 10 years ago, which is celebrating keeping not only the state's number one player at home, but the number one running back in America.
Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Here's to a very uneventful National Signing Day tomorrow. We appreciate you as always, man.
You don't know how much that means to me. Thank you, Matt.
All right, be well. The one and only Shea Dixon. Y'all follow him on Twitter at Shea Dixon. Thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.